And we're gonna record some more because
Exchange have been trying to get back their funds. I remember when this happened, it was actually completely insane. There were a lot of people. I foolishly thought that this would be resolved in a couple of weeks or months around this time. There were people like standing outside with like picket signs and stuff like that. They flew to Japan to try and get their money back, and nope, didn't happen. A group of Mt. Gox creditors has thus banded together to create a new movement known as Gox Rising. The movement is registered by the British Virgin Islands under Gox Rising Limited and aims to support creditors of the Mt. Gox estate by attempting to maximize their recoveries. The movement also has a goal of reviving the exchange, you heard that correctly, and create additional economic benefits for participating creditors. The final goal is to achieve a fully recovering of what was once lost. According to the movement's website, Gox Rising will present a detailed civil rehabilitation plan, or the CR plan, to the Japanese trustee by the 22nd of April of this year. Gox Rising has been proposed by controversial crypto celebrity known as Brock Pierce. Mr. Pierce claims that he successfully bought the 12% stake owned by Mt. Gox's funder Jed McCaleb, the name sounds familiar, for 1 Bitcoin as soon as the exchange...
So I basically... I think I can turn him down. I basically want to see if this person... I'm not charging. This is Findom. So this is a question as you can see, this is a thought I've been having since the end of last year. I think is the the duration of this idea. And it's funny that she responds to this now, or she, they, I don't know who this is. Hi, I am not charging just yet for what I do, but I am thinking in terms of blockchain one day. And it's interesting because either she's going to, and I've had this happen to me before, it's very funny if in 4 or 5 minutes of this conversation, if it unrolls in 4 or 5 minutes, if she doesn't ask for me to pay tribute and she's dead serious about it, if that doesn't happen... Hold on a second. Give me a second. Alright, so basically, we need to figure out... Well, hopefully I'll tell that story later, but now that I'm back here, I need to finish with this thought. So she either has read my posts and know that only I sometimes write blockchain in 2 words, and she's trying to get me interested and get me... take my money from me in 4 minutes when she makes me feel guilty that this is what she gets paid to do, which, like I said, has happened before. I would genuinely feel like I stole something from them because they would have done such a good job at leading me on to think they're actually interested in what I'm talking about. Basically, I don't think that's the case, but if it were, I'd be impressed. I think she actually honestly wants to, or whoever this is, wants to know, honestly, what contributions they can make to an idea that could then be a part of the blockchain economy. I don't know. So that's why I'm asking legitimately, like, oh, all right, well, interesting. I like, and that's just how I talk. It's weird, I know, sorry. Or that's how I type. That's not how I talk, but since I'm typing to someone, I'm not talking to someone, I need to type someone the way I would type to someone. Basically is what I'm saying. And so as a promo, which I am now learning this information in this world of financial, basically being able to imagine, and I think this is where I may have started this, recording this idea. Imagine if there was a service where you could write out, where you could show, I would call it proof of pain. And it's a little messed up, but I got the idea from proof of work for blockchain and Bitcoin and everything, and that's a heated topic and a sore subject for people to get on because it's, the environmental issue, it's non-scaling, it's everything comes down to 3 letters for what's wrong with Bitcoin. It's one of these 3, but it's behind proof of work. Painful. And that's what I was like, wait, painful. Proof of pain. What if we could create a token that is secured by a videotape of someone writing down something 1,000 times straight without stopping for anything? How valuable would that thing be? Or how valuable would that security be? See what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm asking the right questions. I don't know if I'm talking out of my ear. But, and now how did I get there? Oh, my finger. Son of a bee. Yeah, my finger pulled it down. Sorry, that's... Woo. No, I can't. I got this phone a long time ago, and I still can't figure out how to quite use it. Anyway, so I'm interested to see what she actually has to say, because I've been thinking about this since last year. Granted, it's a month or so, but been thinking about it. So as a promo, I want to basically see if she knows if there are people out there that think like her, that are thinking like me, saying, how do we make that security? How do we make that writing down what someone said 100 or 1,000 times? How do we take that proof of pain? Sorry, those peas are probably popping pretty bad. Peas and bees. How do we take... And hopefully when I get a shotgun mic, this won't be so horrible. Or maybe it'll be worse. Hopefully you'll tell me. How do we make... Shit, what was I thinking? How do we make that security available? How do we... I don't know, maybe you'll ask me in the comments and I will remember what I was talking about and make another video about it. Who knows? Yeah, so here's my question to her. What do you see people paying for in the future that you could make available on a blockchain and charge for? Kind of a long sentence, but I'm curious. Curious because this is an idea I think I am working on as well, aka my blockchain ideas. I'm down to compare notes if you're comfortable with that, aka, I need to start figuring out how I'm telling people, hey, I am trying to develop a brand on being honest, and in doing so, I need your permission to record this conversation via screen capture. Like, that's the kind of thing we need to consider with terms of privacy. Not, like, if we ask that question, and not so much the question of, oh, what's YouTube and Google going to do with all my information? The same thing you would do if you had all your information. Look at it and see, all right, what's the value in this? How is this valuable? So if you record all your information in real time as it happens 1,000 times % better than they could, or you can use their things in conjunction with your things, and because your things are on your own free will, those are going to then be far more valuable than anything they could ever collect on you just through your cell phone. Like if you opened up your cell phone to everyone listening to everything you were doing, video, temperature, humidity, sound, if you basically were carrying around a megaphone in your pocket, do you think people would tune into your channel? And I'm talking live, real action blockchain. Like, live stream is cool and it works, but at some point it's done. And I understand that no one has time to watch someone else live their life you can't fast forward through the boring parts to get to the parts that you like, but, and here's where machine learning and so forth, artificial intelligence comes in. If you had something curating your own content as it came out, it could work so fast to categorize and catalog everything in your own blockchain, in your own immutable ledger, to a point where you could think of a thought and say, all right, yesterday I was talking about this. Go find the conversations between this hour and that hour, the conversations that involve the word blockchain. Go. And literally, this is maybe something that happens in the future, but literally your artificial intelligent blockchain reader snaps into action and has all the information you need in a 1 minute chunk format. Like, here's this conversation, the general gist, here's this one, here's this one, here's this one. And this can all be, like, the editing of this information can be done through someone that knows how to edit tweeted information, or if you like to read your daily notes more than you like to watch them, or if you like to listen to them, or if you like to watch a combination of pictures as you listen to it and fast forward. Whatever way that you find it easier to comprehend and digest your own content, to review, to say, hey, this is who I want to have know this. The easier that happens, the better content we can consume, thus will then make. If I can put a lot of information in one sentence like that. Yeah, so maybe that's a tangent. Maybe I don't know, but let me know in the comments, because literally what I mean when I say that is I will have the ability, I want to build the ability to where if you ask me a question about a conversation I had last week, I can find that conversation and listen to it and tell you what I was thinking. That's what I want to be able to develop the ability to do. So in doing that, I hope you are starting to get the idea of what I'm doing. It's hard to describe. I'd rather not tell you, I'd rather show you, and this is me showing you. To compare notes, if you're comfortable with that. Basically, I want to be as upfront and honest as possible, as quickly as possible.
Change imploded. McCaleb has yet to confirm the transaction, but Pierce added that his investment group of Sunlot Holdings handled the deal. According to the TechCrunch report, crypto's a weird place. He said, like Game of Thrones, the last season of Mt. Gox hasn't been written, even though the last season of Mt. Gox has been written and it's going to be on television in a couple of weeks. What kind of ending do you want to make for it? I'm a Joseph Campbell fan, so I'm obviously going to go with a hero's journey, with a rise and fall and then a rise from the ashes like a phoenix. Sunlot Holdings needs at least half of the affected Mt. Gox creditors, approximately 12,000 people, to sign up to a creditors committee to get the ball rolling on the Gox Rising plan. Such a majority number would allow the process to move faster than it is right now. But he said instead of it taking 3 to 5 years, it'll take maybe just 1 year. Here's where it gets ridiculous. Additionally, Pierce wants to create a Gox coin for creditors who sign up to have a stake in the company. His plan is to have all Mt. Gox...
See, here's where this whole creating monies of monies, like a Gox coin of a Gox coin of a Gox coin. It's like, oh my Gox, shut the front door. Like, why aren't we thinking about more useful things we can do with this technology that now allows us to transfer value over the internet instantly? Like, have we ever in our lives ever been able to do that? No. Until now. So it's like, what are you going to do with it, folks? Are you really going to make a Gox of a Gox of a Gox coin? Or are you going to try and create something and add value to it so that 20 years later you can look back and say, yeah, that's how much work I put into this. Don't tell me I got lucky. Like, like people with Bitcoin addresses, or with that got Bitcoins early, like, oh, you're just a lucky investor, or you're just you got luck. You don't deserve all that because you didn't have to work for it. That was just lucky. No, I'm sorry, and to be polite, I'd have to say you're incorrect, extremely incorrect. The amount of ridicule and pure, not disdain and hate, but, high level trolling, put it that way, high level trolling that takes place when you have invested, or you are interested, or you are exploring or learning. If you're doing something that other people don't think you should be doing, they'll tell you and they'll say, oh, that's dumb, that's stupid. And they just harp on you. Do that for about 6 years and let me know if you're still interested about money, and still interested in talking about it, and still interested about thinking about it, and still interested in what it means and what it can mean. What is money? When you've sufficiently answered that question to your satisfaction, then unfortunately this channel is not for you. But as I have yet to answer that question for myself, what is it? I come up with different what it is. Therefore, this has now created a problem where I now feel like I have to answer what it is, but since it's constantly changing for me, I need to describe what it can be. But in doing that, hopefully someone else can do the same thing I'm doing and figure out, hey, what can money be to me? Because that's literally the whole thing of blockchain. That's the point of this. That's where all of this needs to go in order for the world to benefit from it as much as I think, and I think other people think, to benefit from it as much as we think we can. Put it that way. Like, I think of, yes, investing 100, like we always hear the examples on the media. Oh, if you invested $100 at this point, you'd have hundreds of millions of dollars at this point. So we're conditioned to think, oh man, if I only put in $100 into this, poop token, yeah, sure, maybe you'll have $100 million later. Who knows? But with a name like Poop Token, unless that's like a super cool cliche artist that, ends up being worth $1 billion 50 years in the future, Poop Token isn't worth your time. Anyway, I don't know where that rant was headed, but it distracted me, so now I'm back to doing, there we go. Good luck, Greg. He just likes, so what do I say? Yes, good looks, Greg. Or appreciate it. Appreciate? How come I can't spell appreciate? I appreciate, how about that? I appreciate it. Greg or man? I appreciate it, man. Some ideas take time. Some ideas take time to describe. Appreciate it, man. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes some ideas take time to describe. And this one. I'm still working on. More thoughts to come. So what I find interesting about, like, when I talk, how do I say this? When I speak, I have to think slowly, but the rate at which I need to think without interruption, and without going off on a tangent, and without being able to think faster than I can talk, when I type it, it slows my talking down so that I can actually think out loud via typing. Listening to the music and not saying it to myself verbally allows me to, this is really weird, slow my output speed, whatever the information coming out of my head, the ideas. I'm able to slow that down to a point where, or this is how I think, this is what I think is happening when I think of this. Slowing it down to the point where I can communicate it. I can communicate my thought in a tweet, but I can't say my thought in an audio recording, if that makes sense. But to get the whole message and to get the whole information, to get everything from what I was trying to say, one works, the other works, but when you put the two together, the message, hopefully I get better at conveying the same message. Here's the drop. No, I think that was the end of a song. Anyways, that would have sounded good. Basically, I hope this will develop, or I hope this will teach me how to say the same message as I'm typing. I think. I don't know. Maybe it's the same with everyone, but when I write something physically, it may come off as one way, it may sound informative, and you may understand something out of it, but what went into writing that, if I were to say it, you might have to listen for about an hour, so not everyone wants to do that. But I digress, so let me finish. More thoughts to come, aka like right now, like, I don't know if I'm posting this or not, who knows? That was great. Oh, so here's what I'm trying to get at. Listening to music in the background, typing this, and listening to, shout out to Modern Investor, listening to him doing all this and that, I am able to type because I'm allowed to think, because it slows my mind. Listening to the music, listening to him, thinking about what he's talking about, enjoying the music, all while thinking a thought, trying to type it out, slows everything down to the point where hopefully I can figure out how to do that with just simply talking, instead of having to have 8 different conversations at once. So, here we go.
Equity liquidated, then arranged to finance and tokenize an independent foundation that will run by the creditors to seek all Mt. Gox assets. The latter will be distributed pro rata to the holders of Gox coin. So,
Thinking.
Our future's not ours to see. What will be, will be.
I don't know about you people, but watching advertisements like this from companies like that excite the crap out of me. And what a great song to fucking jam to this rant. Like that, when I see advertisements that, or when I'm shown, when the advertisements that are put in front of me actually catch my attention, it's because it helps me think about what else is possible. Like, I may have looked, imagine if I looked at that, what if, no, that's not what I want. What if I wanted to hear this ad again? Yo, Samsung, if you wanted me to hear this ad again, and you paid YouTube a little bit more, do you think YouTube would let me, or Would YouTube allow me to replay your ad on their platform? That's an idea worth thinking about. Because that would literally revolutionize ads. Because what better ad to give to someone? What better means of trying to sell something? Or what better way of trying to get someone's attention than through a story? If this story were on, not Pandora, if this story were on Instagram, would I then be able to go fast forward and rewind? I think. I'm not 100% knowledgeable in the intricate workings of Instagram, and people would probably say, Brady, intricate? That's like base level stuff. I haven't been there in a while. I've been on my YouTube and Twitter. I promise I'll come back. This is because I think it's because I think in pictures. My ability to convey these large pieces of information with one picture is very difficult. Because I can't open the shutter and close it. The shutter opens, it jams, and it stays open. So it's literally a ever-moving, ever-changing recording of information in every way possible. How do I put that on a blockchain? Now you kind of see my dilemma. This is what I'm trying to acquire with doing what I'm doing. So now I can get back to doing it.
Oh. Can you imagine?
Right, so right there. Seriously, I was paying attention to Modern Investor, who has been watching for a really long time. His point of view, I was excited to watch at 9 o'clock this morning. It's now 3 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon. I was excited to watch that because it came up on my feed as I was recording something else, and I was like, oh, good, I can go watch that. Hours later, I now finally get to watch it. So I really want to watch that. And for me to get an interesting idea from a advertisement on YouTube, if YouTube isn't discussing with... What is she up to? If YouTube isn't discussing with its advertisers, hey, if you pay us a little bit extra, we'll actually put a video in front of this person's video and let them have replay options for, say, 15 seconds. I don't know how they, figure out basically how to monetize this replay. Like if you have for 1 second, I don't know. Basically, how do you monetize someone's participation in an ad to where you actually want to listen to it again? Does the replay play the information that you got the first 20 seconds? Or is the replay going to play in a more in-depth story? Holy f***ing shit, I think I just blew my own mind. What if that's the future of... And thank you. Is this Calvin Harris? Yeah, summer. Bingo bongo. See, this is why I need to talk to music, because otherwise I don't get to my point. Hurry up, Brady. Basically, an ad, if you tell an ad on YouTube the way I just described, you may literally have yourself a customer for life. Now, if that ability that for the cost that YouTube would have to pay in order to make that ability accessible to me, so the cost that Samsung would have to pay in order to place that ad could be 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, 10 times, 100 times more than it was for YouTube or for Samsung to pay YouTube for the ad. But, and this is what I would ask Samsung, what if you were that many times, 100, 1,000, 50, 10, 4, 19 times more likely to get a customer to pay attention to your product? What if that was the trade-off? So instead of, a massive broadcast of just, here's a message, what if, and I don't know if it's through algorithms or market research or who the hell knows, someone can tell me in the comments, but whatever it takes for Samsung to, and now I have to back up a little bit because I'm losing my train of thought. What would it take for Samsung to sell a commercial to YouTube that enabled the viewer, myself, to interact in it so that when I replayed a little bit of the commercial, it told me a more in-depth story, like a different edited story of what I saw was the 20-second version, or the out of the 20-second commercial, the 2 seconds that I saw were very quick. If I went back and played those 2 seconds again because I was interested in them, what if the replay was then 45 seconds or 12 seconds or however long it takes they think to get my attention to go deeper and deeper and deeper, basically telling a story of a product or telling a product and its story of helping someone, basically a commercial to help someone figure out how they became successful. You know, whatever it is that we're aspiring to do or aspiring to become, or the products that we want to buy to get us to where we want to be, those are the products we're going to buy online through apps like cell phones and, you know, the games that we put hours and hours and hours of our own input into. Imagine if you were to download a dieting app, and in exchange for the dieting app's value, you gave the dieting app company your information on your food habits. And you would have this information on your food habits because we have blockchain profile, you know, I'm talking 10 years from now, so bear with me. You have blockchain profile consumerators, not collaborators, what's the word? Not a conglomerate. Compiler. What's that word? They basically gather, composite? Is that the word I'm looking for? Basically, it gathers information from your dieting file in your, you know, blockchain fill in the blank. I don't know what it's going to be called. But you gather information from that so that that information is then given, or the value from that information is given as per your smart contract to that diet company that says, in exchange for our value, that being, you know, whoever engineered it, whoever made it, that said, hey, this was the journey of me losing 30 pounds in 5 months. This is what I did. So you're basically, whatever it is you're purchasing from them, whether it's, I kind of went a little fast, didn't I? So basically there you go, the product. If the product the diet company is selling speaks to you, you're going to want to watch more of you're going to want to replay their ad that you were listening while watching someone else do something. And in this case, I'm watching Modern Investor, do it, which maybe if I could find, I don't know where that is. Anyway, like, I would have just been willing to learn more about the Samsung products, about, what were they? The creation of futuristic games where people interact in a big field and they're all contributing to this big holograph. Like, tell me that story. Like, what group do I have to be in to sit in on that conversation and say, hey guys, here's where I think we really can add some value to people's futuristic lifestyle thinkings. Here's how we can add value to someone's fantasy. Put it that way. Because if you can tap into someone's fantasy, or someone's story of success about themselves, or someone's, I don't know what you want to call it, but being able to tap into that value that someone makes while they live through doing that, being able to tap into that is going to be ridiculously huge. And seeing as that just made me go off topic, I don't know if what I was saying was important enough. If you feel it is, you know what to do. And I say this as if I'm Yeah, I say this as if I'm having done this before. Trust me, people. This is the first time I've been doing this, and I am, for lack of a better word, trying to figure it out. So here we go.
And this is why when I was reading this, I think I sat here stunned for a couple of seconds before, because I was like, can you imagine if in 5 years,
brain works. Thank you, Greg.
6 years, somebody comes forward and they're like,
Yeah.
remember
See, you did
BitConnect?
it again.
That didn't work out,
My
but I'm
dude.
coming back. I'm making BitConnect.
My dude, BitConnect. My dude, Greg. It's really exciting to share in your creative process. You have no idea, my friend. And see, here's where it's very interesting. The value that Greg can add to what I'm trying to do is huge. Because if someone said, hey, who's your first fan? I'd be like, fucking Greg. Do you want to be like fucking Greg? Here's what you have to do. And whatever he's doing, he's doing his own life. But when I first was introduced to Greg, I followed him for something. I really wanted to know more about something that he had. So I following him. And then tweets would come up that were not that I didn't want to hear or I didn't want to see, but things that I didn't want to spend time or I didn't want to give size to in my feed. Basically, I get days and days behind, and I know that I skip and miss stuff. So I try and weed out, and weed is a bad word, but in this case, I try and curate what goes through my face depending on what value I'm looking for at that moment. So Greg found his own niche, as in, I don't want to scroll through Greg's feed, but when something I find interesting, or when something he finds interesting that I said pops up to him, I want to know about it. Yeah, it's crazy what pops up on your phone. Crap. Darn it. Yeah, I think we might have to cut this one short. Alright. Sorry, Greg, I kind of don't quite remember what I was talking about, but you're my number one man. Yes. Oh. Well, I guess I could actually edit that out. Interesting. Well, we'll see if I have the tactical skills for that. Thank you, my friend. It's really excited to share your creative process. You have no idea. It's all unfolding. It's all unfolding as we speak, literally. But see, I don't know if he gets that. Like, does that make sense? I don't know. Alright, so let me see if I can edit this. Because, yikes. I'll be back, or see you later, whatever.